Hello everybody, this is Anelise Borges. I'm an Euronews international correspondent and I am reporting live from Kabul in Afghanistan. I've been here for just over a week now and I came to report on the conditions of life for ordinary Afghans since the Taliban took power, took control. So happy you guys can join me. If you want to send me your questions, I'm happy to answer them. For now, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. Let me change the camera around to show you guys what is in front of me now. This is one of the main avenues here in Kabul. As you can see, people are still working. Some street vendors there. This is a very busy part of town, and I'm not far from a park that's been housing some of the people displaced from other parts of Afghanistan here to the Afghan capital. I'm going to show you that park in a few moments, but now this is what the Afghan capital looks like these days. One could almost tell that these are ordinary times, but if you've been following the news, obviously these are not ordinary days. This country is going through a big transformation, as you might know. The Taliban have taken control and they are now the guardians of Kabul, of the power here in Afghanistan. Many people still quite concerned about that change, saying that they did not choose that change. That change was imposed on them. Of course, it follows the decision by the United States to withdraw from Afghanistan and the weakness, if you will, of the old government of President Ashraf Ghani. Again, many people still going about their business around me. I'm going to be changing the camera back and forth, but it's very interesting to note that people are going about their business because they don't really have a choice. They have to feed themselves. They have to carry on living. I've also heard from many people who told me they're quite concerned about what Afghanistan is going to look like in the future. They say the Taliban were once brutal rulers of this place and they don't believe the group has changed. The group say they have changed, but of course we've heard from the new administrators that the Ministry of Women, for example, has been dissolved, and now they have a Ministry for Virtue and the Prevention of Vice that has replaced that institution. Again, I'm going to change the camera around. If you are just joining us, I'm live in the Afghan capital, Kabul, and this is what Kabul looks like right now. Today is the 9th of September. It's around lunchtime here in the Afghan capital, and as you can see, people are going about their business. Quite a few people out in the streets, street sellers, but also people going to and from work if they still have one. Just to give you an idea, the Afghan government used to employ 90% of the workforce here in Afghanistan. Now that the government has collapsed, many people find themselves without a job. So those who still have small businesses, those who are still working on informal jobs, they are still carrying on, but obviously others are not. The Taliban have announced a new government. But it's unclear whether or not they're going to keep the people that used to work for them. They used to work for the other government. I'm happy to respond to your questions if you have questions. Send them to me here on the comments of this live. I'm reading there from one of you a question from Falak saying, "Is the Taliban are the Taliban killing women?" Well, listen, it's very difficult to verify information from other parts of the country, but we heard reports of a very heavy-handed response on the part of the Taliban with regards to women and former government employees, so employees of the former government. Sorry, but again, it's really hard to figure out just exactly what's happening in other parts of the country. We do understand that they are here in Kabul, at least up until a few days ago, were being very respectful towards people. There seems to be a change in the sense that they don't want protests anymore. For example, they don't want people taking to the streets to protest against their rule. This was something that we've seen over the last few days. Women are starting protests, but also men. The Taliban say that those protests are now banned because they want to create a legal framework where people can ask for permission to protest. And while they don't have that framework, because the government is new, nobody is allowed to go out in the streets, and journalists cannot go out and cover those protests. I'm still trying to find more questions here. Someone saying, well, how do you have internet? Because all sources have reported that net has been shut down. There are reports that the internet is down in parts of Kabul and in other parts of the country. I don't really know how I still have internet. I'm operating on a local SIM card, and I still have connection where I am. My producer was driving from a different part of the city, and he didn't have internet for a while. So there are apparently parts of the city that don't have internet. Right here where I am, I have internet. Question, please return to selfies. Okay, please talk to the people who are walking around you. What are they saying, especially women? I'm going to try to talk to people. Not many people speak English, so let me ask if I can get someone that speaks English. I will, but it's not necessarily the most common thing for them to be stopped in the streets like that and asked questions. But I'm going to try and ask some people some questions, and maybe I'm going to ask for the help of my producer here. Do you think we can talk to some people? Do you think we can ask if someone wants to talk to me? Tell them that I'm live on Facebook for Euronews. Okay. Would you? Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to try to speak. Yeah, I'm going to try to speak to some people. But until then, works some embassy. So embassies, in terms of embassies, are still operating here. I know that Pakistan, the UAE and Qatar are still operating. I'm not sure about China. I heard reports that China was operating. Their embassy was still open. I'm not sure. But yeah, many countries decided to shut their embassies when they had to move their embassies out of the original buildings and onto the airport. At the time, the Taliban took control. Since then, some have resumed operations, but the ones that I'm sure is Pakistan, the UAE, and Qatar. So I don't want to lie to you. I don't know the status of all embassies. Are you being watched by neighbors, and do you trust those around you? I don't know if I'm being watched by neighbors. I know that many people are watching me because. Right now I'm standing in a street with the phone in my hand and I'm talking to the phone. So there are quite a lot of people around me wondering what I'm doing. This is a very different country from the 90s. This is a country where everybody is used to social media and everybody has, many people have smartphones, those who can afford one. So they know Facebook, they know Twitter. Obviously they're on these platforms. So it's... many also told me that they saw me reporting and then they send me messages on Twitter and Facebook. In terms of trust, yeah, I work with an incredible team here. I have a producer and a driver, and they're extraordinary. They have been my eyes and ears since I got here. As some of you may know, one of them was detained yesterday and violently handled by the Taliban. The Taliban beat him in detention. He's fine now. We're trying to preserve him a little bit, but he wants to work, and he's still around me right now. I've got more messages. The rest, freedom of movement. I don't see any woman in the street, so here I am. I'm going to show you some women in the street. There are some women in the street. As you can see, these two are quite covered. That's not the case everywhere, but there's certainly more concerned now about what their status will be. The Taliban saying that it's not, I'm going to move the camera around because I didn't ask them for permission. The Taliban saying that it's against Islamic law to film and photograph women, which is why some of them made us delete footage of the latest protests. Do you trust the Taliban? I don't know if it's for me to judge that. What I can tell you is that people here have been telling me that, a large number of people here have been telling me that they don't trust the group. The memories of how they ruled this country in the past are still too vivid, too painful for them, and they think that they cannot forgive nor forget. The latest developments here seem to indicate that the group are still very conservative, and obviously the composition of the government is also something that many countries are concerned about. 33 mullahs, 4 people under US sanctions, only members of the Taliban, and they promised this was going to be an inclusive government. So some countries, including Pakistan, the UAE, saying we should watch and we should wait and see. We should give the Taliban the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they have changed in the next few months. We will see what they're all about. But of course, for people here, this is not a matter that can wait. They cannot afford to wait. If many say that they are risking their lives staying here. I'm going to be. I'm looking for more questions. Are you safe when filming this live broadcast? Yes, I feel safe right now. I feel safe. I feel safe in the streets. Yes. Is it possible to go to Panjshir province and have a live from there? Very good question. Panjshir province, as you know, is where the resistance movement has been formed, and up until a few days ago they were trying to resist the Taliban. So that was the only part of Afghanistan that was not under Taliban control. We understand that has now changed, that the Taliban also took control of that province. It's unclear just whether or not there are pockets of resistance. We don't know where the leaders of that movement are now based. The resistance movement tried offering a ceasefire deal to negotiate. The Taliban didn't agree with that. They continued fighting, and we got some very worrying reports that there were many casualties in Panjshir province. I don't know how easy it is for us to actually go to Panjshir province right now. I've been trying and speaking to people. Obviously, there's so much to report on right now. It's hard for us to cover all fronts, but I will try to find out if I can go to Panjshir province. Don't know what the situation is there right now. Someone saying that they miss Kabul so much. I understand the city is a lovely place, despite all the difficulties and the many dark chapters that this country has faced. The city is so alive, and the people are extremely welcoming. Can you go to the American embassy? It would be great to see what's left of it. Yes, I've been in front a few times. I have not been allowed in. I can tell you that the Taliban also control that part now of the town, and they've painted the entire front of the murals in front of the embassy with their flag and their symbols, but we were not granted access to the embassy. Do you know what the situation is outside of Kabul? I have read reports and I've been following people from outside of Kabul, but I have not seen with my own eyes what the situation is. I have passed by a few places, but I was not able to stop and talk to people, so I'm unable to tell you what the situation is like outside of Kabul. Are you from Mexico? No, I'm not from Mexico. Can you talk to one of the Taliban gunmen? I've spoken to foot soldiers. I've spoken to Taliban fighters that have been manning checkpoints and have been present here in Kabul. There are some reports online right now. There are no foot soldiers around me, and I don't think they would agree to join me live on Facebook like that. I don't think so. So please, you have any information when commercial flights will start? That's a very good question. So the airport is reportedly operating domestic flights. We've seen a few take off, going to the north to Mazar-e-Sharif, but also to the south of Afghanistan. One flight has taken off, a commercial flight has taken off towards India. And we know that planes from Bahrain, but also the UAE have sent at least 4 planes already with humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, food, medicine, and other supplies. The people I spoke to at the airports, the ones that are trying to fix the facilities, say that there's a lot of work to be done. And for commercial flights, international commercial flights to resume, they need to abide by international standards, international aviation standards. And for that, there's still a long way to go. They still need to work on that. Any estimate about how many foreigners are left in Kabul? And what about the reopening of the airport? So the reopening of the airport I just mentioned, but foreigners, we don't know. We don't know because in certain cases, the foreigners are not, they don't need to register. So I know many people who are still living here and have family here. And one of the difficulties that many people are facing is that their family members sometimes don't have documents to travel. So they don't have passports, for example. So that has been the main difficulty for many people who would like to get out of here and take their families with them, but they cannot because there's no one to issue passports right now. Taliban soldier question. Thank you for your well wishes. The government has a lock on all women being, and it's up to the people to take control over the government. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I hope everything is good. Yeah, we all hope that everything is going to be good. This place is my city. Can you tell me a little bit about economic activity in Afghanistan? Are the banks working? So yes, banks have started to work again. They are, in theory, they are open. But the problem is the Taliban have not been able to access the reserves of the Afghanistan Central Bank. Those reserves, about $9 billion, are being held in the United States by the New York Federal Reserve. Because this is a government that is not yet recognized by the United States, they cannot access those funds. So there's a shortage of hard currency here in this country. That's why the Taliban have had to impose caps. So people cannot withdraw more than 20,000 Afghanis, which is about $200 a week. If you think that that's a lot, it's not for a city like Kabul, for example. Things are very expensive here. So, and if you think about people that have businesses that have to pay salaries, it's very difficult for them to carry on. I also spoke to many people who have been queuing and lining up in front of banks for days and were unable to get any cash. So the situation is very, very difficult. Accessing cash is not easy. And obviously, people are struggling because, as I said before, many lost their jobs because the Afghan government used to employ 90% of the workforce here. So many people don't even know where to go, if they can go back. They don't know if they can go back to the office. They don't know if their jobs are still there. The Taliban saying that they can, that they are needed, asking people not to leave, etc. But obviously, as we were talking about, quite a lot of suspicion. Do Afghans remember about lifestyle in the 70s? Well, some who are old enough to remember they do, but others don't. In the past 20 years, things have been changing a lot, and if you look around, this is a very modern place in many ways. So yeah, I wouldn't say that this is the Afghan of the 70s, but women have been, over the last few years, women were able to participate. So they were heading businesses, founding NGOs. You know, there was a vibrant new generation coming to occupy and play a role in society. And of course, that is what is at stake now. Can these people still be part of Afghanistan? A lot of people were asking me about Panjshir. As I said, I don't know if I can go there yet. From where you get reports. Show me the park. Let me see if I can speak to people. Who would like to speak to me? You said? Those people?
Yeah.
That gentleman over there? Okay, so I'm going to try and speak to someone as you guys asked to see if... let me just explain to them that I'm live on Facebook for Euronews, just so we're clear. Salam alaikum. I work for Euronews, an international news channel, and I'm live on Facebook. Can I talk to you? Is that okay? Did he understand?
Yes.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
told him before, yeah.
So I'm gonna try to do something here with the microphone. So what is his name?
اسمم رحمة الله. رحمة الله.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing these days? How is business right now?
چطور از کاربار؟
نه ما اینمیجا از صوفه تر آمدیم تا به حال 50 افغانی تو باور که ما سودا کردیم. پدر 6 تا طفل هستم. ما 50 را پر چی کنم؟ نیست کاروبار نیست دیگه. از خداوند خود امیر خان هستیم که یک خداوند یک روشنی را بیاره که امی مردم غریب ما دست به کار شود یک کاروبار در وطن بیاره.
There's no any business in here. Just from since morning, it's now afternoon. We sold about 50 Afghani. It's not anything. Just we have women, children at home, and it's not enough for us to support the family.
Are you worried about your future? I mean, how long can you sustain this if things continue like they are now?
در مورد آینده شما که آینده تان چه رقم میگذره خوب است نیست مشکلاتی که دارین شما آینده تشویش چیز دارین نگرانی
بله ما خاص 100% تشویش داریم که ما آینده خود دیگر نمیفهمیم که آینده ما دیگه چی میشه دیگه آینده ما آینده وطن تنها آینده خود ما مد نظر نداریم ما آینده وطن ما مد نظر داریم که وطن ما آرام شه وطن ما اصول امنیت برای یک کاروبار بیاید تنها ما که برای خود نمیگم برای کل ملت افغانستان خداوند یک اصول امنیت یک کاروبار بیاره که مردم 95% ملت افغانستان زیر فقر زندگی میکنه اما کسایی است که در سرک گشنه خو میکنه شب
Yeah, it's very problem in Afghanistan to support the family. We're thinking about the future. What will be our future with this condition, with this situation? There's no any car, there's no any business, there's no any thing. Just we think about future, but worried about the future. What will be done in the future?
Do you have a family? Do you have wife and children?
خانواده خودارین
بله پدر 6 تا طفل هستم پدر 6 تا طفل هستم خانم دارم اولاد دارم شکر پدر 6 تا طفل هستم همینجا خودم
Yeah, he has a wife, also 6 children, and we are sitting here to support the family.
And where are your wife and children right now?
کجا هستن اونا؟
اینا همینجا هستن خانه هستن اینجا چهارقلای وزیر آباد ناحیه دوم زندگی میکنیم خانه کرایی داریم همینجا زندگی میکنیم فعلا.
You know, they're in 10 district of Kabul in Charqala area, and they're living in here in Kabul.
Do you have a message to other countries? I mean, many people from France and England are watching us right now. What is your message?
کشورهای مثل فرانسه و جرمنی و کشورهای خارجی در کل شما را تماشا میکنن. پیام شما بر از اونا چی است در مورد وضعیت وطن این موارد؟
پیام بر از ما است که تا که بتونه از ما جام جهانی امیر خان هستیم که تا بتونه در افغانستان یک همکار باشن که همین مردم فقر و بیچاره که در زمین افغانستان مونده که ناز زیر چتر فقر برداشته شود.
Yeah, we want from international community to think about Afghanistan, maybe they support Afghanistan because the situation should be changed to better, and we want from them to support Afghanistan, especially people who work or have small businesses.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry, let me just put... Hi.
Hi, how are
You
you?
speak English?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. So I have another person. I work for Euronews, an international news channel, and I'm doing a live on Facebook right now. Is this okay for you to talk to us?
Yes, talk. Also, I want to tell you my problem.
Can I film you or not?
What? Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that people know that they're being filmed.
Yes.
What is your name?
My name is Saeed Zikriya.
Saeed, and tell me about your problem. You said you wanted to tell me about your problem.
Actually, I do not have problem. I have worked with ISAF forces with German ISAF forces for about 10 years. But what was the situation in airport,
Yes.
Kabul airport? I couldn't reach to the airplanes of Germans. Right now my problem is this. But if you ask me about the overall situation in Afghanistan, but it is not satisfiable because lots of people move to other countries, and there are not so much opportunities of work for the people. Economy is going down, and markets are closed, and this kind of problem exists in Afghanistan.
Mr. Zakaria, do you have family?
Yes, I have family. I have 3 children and my spouse. Yes.
What do you think is going to happen? What should be happening right now? The international community is struggling to come up with a solution to this this situation because the Taliban taking control was not something that they were expecting. Many countries. What is your message to the international community today?
My message is for the international community is to cooperate with this regime, to cooperate in a way that they bring changes, to govern like in a modern time, in 21st century. To give a chance for educated people, for women, and for all layers of the society, and all the people, all the ethnic groups should have position in the politics and economy and so on.
Thank you, Mr. Zakaria.
You're welcome.
Very nice to meet you. This happens quite a lot. There are many people here in Afghanistan who are fluent in many languages. They are very impressive. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the fact that the international community and there were so many different missions here in Afghanistan with the US troops, but also NGOs from all over the world. And now many people are still fluent in the languages that they've learned, and many have been approaching me in the streets and asking me to talk to them. It's a very difficult situation because we also don't want to put anyone at risk. So we're trying to tell people's stories. I saw a message there, a question from Kawa, who asked if I think that the Afghanistan media can be free under the Taliban. It's very difficult to tell you that right now. The latest developments are quite worrying, especially because of what happened yesterday. Journalists are being told not to cover gatherings anymore, illegal gatherings, they say, because the Taliban have banned protests now. So a group of journalists have been detained, and so we don't know at this stage if journalists will be able to report freely, continue to work freely. The vast majority of the journalists I've worked here with and I've met here over the last few days tell me that they are determined to continue to document the changes that are happening to their country right now. I'm still looking for more questions. Sorry, it's quite hard to keep up. Please go to the houses and speak with people. I'm sure they will tell you the truth. In the streets, they are afraid. Indeed, we have been doing that as well, as much as possible. As I told you, it's very hard because we want to protect people. There is a report coming out today, an interview with a translator, an interpreter that worked with US troops. Make sure you tune in for that later. Don't lie. The Taliban are not the people they say. Taliban should be judged. I'm not lying. I'm just again trying to convey what I'm hearing here. The Taliban say that they have changed. The last developments show that they are likely to impose a very conservative rule to this country, especially if we consider the cabinet that they've put together. Still looking for how many Taliban fighters are former government soldiers. That is a very good question, one that I'm not able to respond right now, but answer right now. But it is true. Many Taliban members used to work for the Afghan government. This is not a black and white situation. Many felt that they had no other option. Others were super disappointed with the previous government, super disappointed with the way things were handled. they say that the former president abandoned them and left them in the midst of this chaos, and they had to survive. So that's not that's something that I've heard a lot. I've spoke to many Taliban fighters, including an 18-year-old former engineer student here from Kabul, who told me in perfect English that his brother is in Austria, but that he did not want to leave Afghanistan right now because he wanted to fight for his country. This is a young man who joined the Taliban 4 days ago, and said that the Taliban have changed and that he wants to protect Afghanistan against foreign forces, foreign invaders. I asked him if I was considered a foreign invader, and he said no, because I don't want to conquer Afghanistan, that I'm a guest, I'm their guest. I'm going to go forward a little bit with the questions. Sorry. You are safe in Kabul. Tell the world that Kabul is safe. It's very hard to say that. I am safe in Kabul. I feel safe right now in Kabul. I don't know that Kabul is safe for everyone that is here. So many people telling me that it's not the case, that they feel afraid, and I cannot calculate the risk that they are facing. Do you and other journalists feel safe? Yes, I feel safe right now. The Taliban have issued me a permission to work. I have a document, and most of the time I show the document in the... sorry, 1 second. Yes. Interesting. Okay, so I'm just being told that... should I say this? Is it okay to... So I'm just being told that a group of Taliban fighters have arrived, and they are in front of us in a... There are many tailor shops, and they are making clothes. They're taking their measurements to make clothes. I don't think that I can go there and film that, though. Yeah, no. So no. But just to tell you, this is the Taliban are a multitude of groups, and many have come from other parts of Afghanistan and are coming to this city for the first time sometimes. So many are adapting, going to fetch new clothes, trying to change their image. That is something that is happening. As I told you before, I've been issued a paper by the Taliban saying that I could work. I went to them and I asked for permission. They are the new rulers here, and I had to do that. All journalists have been doing the same thing, and many of the foreign journalists have been asking about safety, and they say that they feel safe. Obviously, it's a different story for local Afghan journalists. We are very concerned about that, to make sure that they are not faced with any reprisals depending on what they work. Let me get my face out of the way for a while and show you again. So then quite a few curious kids around. That's often the case. People asking what we're doing. This is a gentleman. Assalamu alaikum. It happens quite often. They're very, very curious about what we're doing, and very, very welcoming. Many people, as you can see, there are some Taliban vehicles going by. They are everywhere these days. They are, again, the new rulers in this place, and this was something that was quite unthinkable up until a few years ago, seeing them in the streets of Kabul. That's it. I think I'm gonna wrap up. Kabul is not actually safe for everyone. I have a message here. As I said, that's what I feel too. Many people here telling me that they are not safe. There's a gentleman going by in bicycles, in a bicycle. Many people use bicycles to get around here in Kabul. It's a very busy city. Let's see. I want to go to a better place. There's an Afghan person, I think, joining us there. I think I'm going to wrap up. We have an interview right now, but I'm happy so many of you were able to join us. I hope I was able to. Oh, let me show you again. I hope I was happy. Oh my God, sorry. Difficulties talking right now. I apologize. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions. Sorry, I'm quite tired right now. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Facebook Live. It's been a pleasure. I hope you can continue following our coverage here on social media, but also online. I'm going to leave you now with some of the kids here in front of me. They're kind of they're around everywhere I go. Many have gone through very difficult context, very difficult situation. Life here is not an easy task for many, but these are the kids around me right now, and I'm leaving you with some street scenes from Kabul. Thank you for watching this live, and I hope to see you guys soon. Do keep tuned to Euronews.